All right, guys, so now is the rear diff plate. This one seems pretty straightforward. Man, this will be super, super easy. So again, the instructions on here are very, very straightforward and makes it easy peasy. So we're gonna use a 12mm to loosen these 3 bolts right here. So you wanna do the passenger side and then the 2 bottom ones. We'll loosen these up, and that's where the little filler plate right here, that will slide up in there. So we're gonna pull this one completely out and loosen these 2. That way we can get this, slide that up in there. So you want the +1 to be facing you from the rear, looking forward. So we're going to start off by loosening just the one on the right, get it completely out, because that's the one that has to completely come out, and finger tighten it back in there. And then we'll loosen up these other 2 right here. Slide right in like butter. We'll tighten these up. Want to make sure that's nice and tight. We don't need that bouncing around back there. So plate is installed. That way we'll get going on the front side right now. So now at this point we are all set up to get these bolts loosened up right here. So rear plate at the back of the diff, everything is all good. And we're getting these loosened up right now. That way we can get these 2 sleeves mounted up in there, mounted up right here, and get those looking good. All right, so now we're gonna loosen up these 2 bolts right here. This is a 17mm. This is right by where the diff is. This little cross member piece right here. So you want to loosen up these 2 bolts and oops, get that all set up. So don't be alarmed, when you get these 2 bolts off, this whole thing's gonna move. As you can see, on the top side, this is a little bracket that goes over the whole thing. So don't be worried about that. Once we get that plate installed, it'll all look good. All right, so when you go to get this, these last pieces installed right here, the new hardware are these little gold little nuts that go on there. When you get those are 14mm. And we will get that first one installed right now. So when we do that, you got to make sure you have the whole thing set and latched. So you have to put your hand on top to use the, make sure that whole entire piece is pulled down. All right, so number 1 is done. All right, so we'll get this other one done. So you don't want to make them too tight because you have to do a few adjustments in the back. I tightened it up a little too much here. So when we get that back, we'll get all that lined up, and then we'll go back and tighten everything later. All right, this last little bit here, we'll get these bolts installed. We'll go from there, man. That's it. All right, there's the last little bit of the bolts for that rear diff, and that's it. She's all set.